Hello, and welcome back to the Linkvana training series. We're going to be continuing our videos on building campaigns from scratch. Today's part 2 on using our natural link profile formulas to future-proof campaigns. This is going to be one of the most important videos we do because it's going to show you how to build campaigns without guessing. There's no guesswork involved when you use a formula. It's just like a recipe. You simply plug in the different ingredients and out comes the desired result. So in this video, I'm going to reveal the very formulas that I use on my own websites that have survived countless Google updates, all the Panda and Penguin. They've held their rankings and even increased throughout the updates. And a lot of that success comes from using these formulas. So pay close attention. Let's go ahead and get started. So first off, let's talk about why formulas are crucial to your SEO success. Simply put, SEO campaigns have a habit of going off on their own paths if left to chance. Having been managing SEO campaigns for hundreds of companies over the last 5 years, I've seen it happen time and time again. As a campaign gets larger and more involved, things just slip through the cracks, and all of a sudden all that link diversity and the anchor text variation and everything else that you had such great intentions of doing when you started out simply falls away, and you no longer have kind of the targets that you originally set out for. And that's where a lot of penalties come from, is that people aren't reaching the targets that they need to be. And the reason they're not reaching those targets is simply because they don't have a desired end goal. They want greater rankings, yes, and they want to build links, but they don't have a formula that they're sticking to. So formulas let you check your campaigns at any time to see if you veered off the path. You can simply look at your links and everything else and say, does this line up with the formula I set out to achieve? And if it doesn't, you can make adjustments, correct, and move forward. So let's go ahead and take a look at our first formula. Anchor text is arguably the most important thing that you need to understand when building links, especially these days. Anchor text determines the keywords you will rank for. And so understanding how to manipulate anchor text properly and how to implement a structured anchor text diversification formula into your campaigns is going to have major improvements over simply just randomly pulling anchor text out of thin air. So let me go over our formula now. But we break it down into two parts. Homepage links is the first part. And so this is specifically links going to your homepage. And so the first part of the homepage links anchor text formula is going to be your brand name, domain name, and URL. So this could be www. your domain name, or the domain name itself, or your brand name if you have an LLC. If you don't, you can pretend you do and simply use whatever you think your brand name would be as your brand name. Obviously don't make up fake LLCs, but you could make your brand name within that link linking back to your site. That's going to make up a large portion of your links, 30 to 40%. Now the reason for this is because that's what natural link profiles look like. They have a lot of brand name, domain name, and URL links. It's kind of what the homepage is for. It's for branding the authority of your domain, not necessarily ranking for keywords. There's less of an emphasis in today's world of SEO on ranking for keywords in your homepage and more of an emphasis on branding that homepage. Doesn't mean you can't rank for keywords, you certainly will, but the natural way this happens is by branding that homepage. Next are your main keywords, 15 to 20%. You don't want to build too many links with your main keywords because you're going to have oversaturated anchor text. And so 15 to 20% of those top 3 to 5 keywords that you really want to rank for. Next are going to be generic keywords. Generic keywords such as click here, learn more about this, source, as referenced, seen in, things like that. All these generic keywords which are going to help kind of diversify things but also make it look more natural, because again, we want things to look as natural as possible. And then we have our leftovers. Leftovers are going to be variations of those main keywords. So learn more about main keyword, top 10 main keywords. The more variations you can come up with here, the better. Now, if you're in a really, really big market, you might be able to find variations of your main keywords that are also keywords that will send traffic. That's the ideal situation. And so if you're familiar with the terms short tail and long tail, these leftovers could also be looked at as long tail keywords, and then your main keywords would be your short tail keywords. But if you're not familiar with that concept, don't worry about it too much. The main point here is that you want to get variations of your main keywords, and they don't even necessarily have to contain your main keyword word for word, just some sort of variation that's relevant, because we're really building relevance with these leftovers. We're not building high impact anchor text links, we're building relevance so the page looks relevant to that main keyword without looking keyword stuffed. So that's what you do for your homepage. There are a couple differences for inner page links. The main difference is that your brand name, domain name, and URL are much less. The reason for this is because your inner page links don't necessarily get branded as much. If someone's referencing your brand or your domain, it's generally more common that they're going to link to the home page. They don't necessarily link to the inner page and say, your company name and here's some random inner page. So you can lower this to a much lower percentage and therefore transfer kind of that extra percentages to the rest. You'll see main keywords and generic keywords stay the same. So what you really end up with is a lot more leftovers. And these leftovers just become, again, variations of your main keywords. So what this does is it sets your inner pages up to rank more for your main keywords. You're getting all those variations in there so you still don't look keyword stuffed, but it's kind of shifted more towards ranking specifically for those keywords. So that's our anchor text formula. These are, directly, you can plug these in to any website and any niche and see great results throughout the Google updates. These are not percentages that are by any means aggressive, but they're still percentages that are high enough to make sure you get results from your campaigns. So now let's take a look at our second formula, and that's going to be the magic deep linking formula. Deep linking simply refers to links that link to your inner pages and not your home page. This is important as well because you have to structure this so that you're not linking to your home page too much or linking to one inner page too much. You want to have a natural, balanced link profile. That's what this is all about. So the first rule is that 30% or less of the links go to your home page. So this number will vary depending on the size of your site. I have run campaigns where only 5% of my links went to my home page. I have run campaigns where a full 30% went to my home page. But you never want to exceed this because then you kind of look a little bit unnatural. Generally, natural link profiles don't have a lot of links going to the home page. They have a lot of links going to the inner pages because that's what people reference. They reference the inner pages because that's where the more specific information is contained. So generally if a blog is linking to you or something, they would link to your inner page and reference that information there. Now for your inner pages themselves, you don't want to have any inner page over 20% of the total link quantity. So your website might have hundreds or even thousands of inner pages, and yet you only want a couple to rank. You still have to diversify it so that not one inner page has over 20%. And really, for large sites, I would prefer to have it less than 10% for an individual inner page. We don't want any specific page looking unnaturally modified or gaining too many links so that it kind of shifts the link sphere over to that one page and therefore looks unnatural. You want a broad spectrum of linking to all your inner pages, or at least the majority of your inner pages, and linking to them semi-evenly and no more than 20%, preferably under 10%. So if you stick to these rules for the anchor text and the deep linking, you're going to have really good SEO results. So implementing the formulas. Implementing the formulas simply comes down to tracking. You have to track the links you're building, where those links are going to, and the anchor text. If you track these three things, if you're tracking these, it's really simple to go back and say, okay, do these links fall within the formulas? Now if you're using Linkvana, of course we make this part really easy because we track all the links built through us for you. So you don't have to have, all your different links in different Excel sheets or other databases where you can constantly reference them. We keep it on our site, we track all the links, so you can simply look at it and see if they're within the formulas for you. Now, for small campaigns, you can probably guesstimate just by looking at it. You can look at the number of links, look at the anchor text variation, and say, okay, this looks about 30-40%, this looks about 20%, and that's probably okay. These aren't set in stone, there's some variance there. However, for larger campaigns, you should consider using Excel to calculate exact percentages. If you're using Excel, you can build a list of all the anchor texts, a list of all the pages they went to, and all the quantities, and then you can calculate those percentages really quickly and see where you need to adjust your campaign, or maybe you're on target and you're doing great. So Excel can be really useful for really large campaigns. And sometimes I even do this myself before I build a single link. If I'm doing a really large campaign, I'll actually list out all the pages I want to rank, and then I'll list out all the keywords, all the variations, everything, and then I'll list out all the quantities I'm going to target, and then I calculate everything and adjust as needed so that I have an Excel sheet full of every single link I'm going to build, every anchor text variation, and every page it's going to go to, and then I can simply plug those numbers directly into Linkvana and track my campaigns and know that my campaign was set up from the start to match these formulas, so there's not going to be any going off the path. By doing that ahead of time, you can almost guarantee your success. So that's something to consider if you're like me and you really want to kind of take this art of SEO and turn it into an exact science. and that's what formulas do. You plug this in and you get great results. So I hope you've learned something, and I hope that you've seen some ways that you can maybe change your campaigns or better track your campaigns to match these formulas that we've tried and tested. In the next video, we're going to show you how to build campaigns using these formulas and using the techniques we talked about in the first video on choosing link types to build a solid SEO campaign for our website.